Welcome, welcome, welcome to Uncomplicating Business. I am delighted. I'm always delighted to bring on people I love. So I say that every time, but I literally mean it every time. This is a conversation that we are going to have about sales because you know that this year we're talking about grounding, connecting, planning, and selling month by month by month. We are going to talk today to my friend Kim, Kim Kiel is all things messaging and sales and brand and voice and strategy. And she's so freaking smart. And I know she's here and like watching me say that, but really though, and one of the reasons I wanted to bring her to you is because I think one of the things she's really smart about in particular is selling more things at higher price points and sort of helping you shift from a million little things to a core bigger thing. And so that really matters. And that's a hard shift for service providers often who want to help everybody with everything. And so I think, she'll tell us more about this, but I want you to hear her. And I want this to be a part of the conversation we're having. So, my friend Kim, hi, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm glad to have you. So, talk to me first about like when we say sales. What is sales to you?
Sales to me is an exchange of value and an exchange of service. So I really see sales as an act of service and an
Mm.
act of love because you're filling a need, you're filling a purpose, you're providing a solution to a problem or a situation that someone has. So I really view sales as, yeah, sales is an act of service.
Yes. Well, and um, sales is an act of service. And I think the point you're making there that I want to sort of poke at a little bit is like even before an exchange, right? Like sales is the thing that happens before the actual sale and exchange is made. So
Yes.
like it's pre-exchange, and that's where I think people get tripped, that it's like service before a service. So
You,
can you talk a little?
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I think a lot of the reason why I like to say that sales is an act of service is because for so many people, and a lot of women especially, um, we think sales is sleazy. We
Hmm.
think sales is greedy. And so that shift of positioning to think of sales as an act of service, it
Hmm.
somehow makes it easier to engage in the steps to get the sale. So it releases the pressure about like, oh, I have to sell, I have to market myself, I have to build connection, build relationships, but that's all in the purpose of being in service
Yeah.
and providing someone with a solution to a problem that they have.
Well, and the more often you build those things, the connection, the relationships, the things that you're talking about, the visibility, the more service you get to be.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, especially like those who fall into like the healer, teacher, coach field.
Giver,
Yeah.
helper.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly. We feel like we should be providing this service for free.
Mm.
And a lot of us feel like, well, we can't charge that or we can't charge that much or like you should, if you have that gift, you should be providing it for free. And so, a way to release some of that pressure again is to think that, okay, so I am delivering a level of my service for free in my marketing, in my messaging, and in my pre-sale activities. But I'm really going to save the big transformation for those who have an ability to pay and work with me. Your podcast can be a great avenue to provide free
Yep.
or affordable transformation for those people who maybe can't afford to work with you or don't wish to invest. But I know that there's just so many little mindset things that come up for people who are traditional healers or creatives who feel kind of weird about, like, well, I can't charge for this gift of mine. I have to make it available to everyone. So I think that in some of that marketing, in our
Yeah.
podcasts and our content, well, we can provide those deliverables for free and still feel okay about charging the right price to work with us directly.
Well, and I think it really matters, right? Because you are, I always say to people that like, I think that we assume if we're helping, it can't be paid, and if we're selling, we can't be helping. Like that
Mm.
there's somehow like no overlap in
Mutually
that then
exclusive.
right,
Yeah.
like that they're
Yeah.
like weirdly mutually exclusive and they're not. Like you can be helping and make money. Like I come from teaching and teachers are basically told like you should this should be free.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how it works. And that doesn't make it okay, but also everyone is happier, including you, when the exchange that you talked about earlier, the exchange of value is balanced.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that makes like, why shouldn't everybody get to be happy? How come one side only gets to be happy and it's not me?
We all have to make a living. We all
Yes.
have bills to pay. We all have kids who have astronomical sports fees or art, theater camp
Girl,
fees. Like,
girl.
there is no shame in being able to charge a decent amount and in exchange for something you deliver so that you can pay the bills, put food on your table, give back to your community, make donations to the causes that you love. So,
Yes.
like, I really think, like, I'm really a high ticket messaging strategist. I want to encourage more women to charge more fees for their valued expertise and services. So I'm always going to like remind people that part of the reason why we charge a value for our services is so that we can and we because we do women naturally are give back to their communities when they
Well,
have more agency to do so.
oh my God. Yes. Well, and I feel like everybody should like rewind a whole minute right there and then just listen to that again and rewind a whole minute right there and
Yes.
listen to that again. Do you hear the directions here, folks? Because, like, seriously though, that's a huge deal. And I end up working with a lot of people that kind of calculate to the bare essentials.
Mm,
They're like, well, if I charge this, I'll meet all my, it's the like least possible I can charge and meet all my needs. Like, guys, we're not trying to lay on the floor.
no.
Like, we don't need to be on the floor. There is a floor in every business where it's like, this is the bare minimum you need to get to. But like, why are we, why are we shooting at the bare minimum? And what Kim is talking about is how, what you are talking about is how okay it is and more than okay to like reach above the minimum.
100%. And if you're going for bargain basement pricing, the bare minimum, that may
Mhm.
actually be shooting yourself in the foot because there are a lot of people who are looking to work with an expert in the field that of your expertise. If
Yep.
they see that you are charging the lowest rate on the block, they're going to
Yep.
think you can't deliver a solution that they need. So
Yep.
there is a real beauty in the finding the right price point so that people see that you're at a price point that maybe isn't the lowest, but that's because you must be able to deliver a transformation. You must be one of the best coaches
Yeah.
that I can work with. So if you're aiming for the lowest common denominator, you're actually going to be sacrificing the sales with the ideal clientele who want to work with you.
Yes. And so actually one of the notes I'm gonna put over here on the side is that when you and I talk live in May,
Hmm.
what we should make sure we talk about is setting the right price point
Yeah.
because that's on May 20th. We're going to talk live together on May 20th and y'all can all come. But one of the things we can talk about in that is like, okay, that's cool, setting the right price point, but how do you do that?
Yeah.
Because this is sort of the what and the why, and that live one is about the actual house.
Mhm.
So, in thinking about that, because I actually had a client the other day say to me, I got on with her and she was like, yeah, I think I underpriced something and
Mm.
they've gone away. She was like, I think it scared them in the wrong way,
Yeah,
which was
exactly.
really interesting. And she was so taken aback by that that she was like, oh, in like everybody does it at some point, right? You did it, I've done it. And it happens in real time where you're like, ooh, damn it. Like, or you say to your price to somebody and somebody goes, oh, I thought it would be more. And you're like, oh God, that's the worst. So, talk to me about in your own business, in sales, you're talking about the shift from sort of that bargain basement, which we've all visited, to this higher ticket, higher value, higher expertise kind of offer. Can you talk to me about making that for yourself and also the things? Well, I want to talk about two pieces, the journey for yourself and the things that have gotten in the way.
Sure. Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. So I actually started out, excuse me, in the nonprofit sector. I worked in
Oh,
charities for like a decade, more than a decade.
and talking
So
about people
there
who
we're
are
talking
like,
about
there's no money.
the
Yes.
mindset of
Mm,
deliver for as low a service or as little cost as possible.
yep.
So I come from that mindset. But I was also working in major gift fundraising and grant writing where you are actually asking for very big gifts. So you kind of have to get over that.
Yeah.
Also, when you work in nonprofit, you realize you need people to do the job. You need good people to do the job, and we can't keep paying them minimum
$4.
wage to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but transitioning from the nonprofit sector to online business and working with entrepreneurs and working quote unquote for profit, I definitely had to deal with like the mindset
Mm,
gobbledygook that comes up because I thought, oh, I've never worked in digital marketing before. Oh, I've never called myself a copywriter before. How can I charge these prices that I saw other copywriters
yeah.
charging? And I had to remind myself continually that the writing that I had done over the last decade counted. So
Yes.
even though I wasn't quote unquote a copywriter or a messaging strategist for the last decade, that in effect was what I was already doing.
Hmm.
And I also was bringing a lot of life experience to the table. And when you are in marketing and messaging, having that understanding of humanity and how humans think and how humans actually live, and I'm sure the same is true for people who are coaches and
Yep.
healers,
Yep.
that life experience is so valuable because you make fewer mistakes. You kind of
Hmm.
land the plane a lot faster because you have that understanding of human behavior, human psychology. And so the short story long is I had to really pump myself up and look at the examples of other folks who were charging those higher rates. And yet I still started small. I still started with charging, say, $500 for my first sales page. Once that was done, I charged 1,000. Once that was done, I charged 1,500. Once that was done, I charged 2,000 and so on and so on and so on
Yep.
until you kind of find that point where people are like, whoa, that is really a lot or you're really getting pushback. But there's ways to, again, address those
That's
objections.
managed. It's a whole different way. Yes.
It is. It is. So it really takes, you have to sort of take the leap before you think you're ready and then get the evidence and keep going to show yourself that you can, in fact, charge that amount and get and people will be happy to pay it. Now, there's also some other strategies that go along with all of that mindset
Yeah.
work and pricing strategy. And that's where understanding how to message and write copy that actually connects and what to say on a sales call and how to show up as a expert and authority. That also all comes into play. But that's sort of my journey into how I began charging premium rates. And I have to say that the timeline was very short for
Yeah.
me to like come into the copywriting world and then say like I'm actually going to just specialize in writing copy for high ticket sales. I did
Yeah.
that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was going to be able to command higher rates from people who would have a greater ROI from the copy because they in turn were
Yep.
charging premium rates. So it was
Yep.
like this really sweet niche that I created, and owning that niche really worked in my favor.
Yeah. Well, but it's also what I think you're talking about there is picking a spot that felt really good where there's income to be made, A, but also the willingness to be like, okay, I charged this and people were like, all right, so I'm going to charge more. I
Mm.
charged this and people were like, all right. And so I charged more. I actually connected one-on-one with somebody new on Friday who is newish in the like wellness space. And she said, in your first year in business, like what were your prices? And I was like, honestly, I had to keep a spreadsheet because they changed every time I
Yeah.
charged somebody. And she was like, what does that mean? And I was like, well, every time somebody said yes, I added $300.
Yeah.
Like it went from like $1,500 to like it changed all the time, constantly. And it was like, is it 3 months? Is it 4 months? Is it 6 months? It went all over the place.
Hmm.
And she was like, well, is that even okay? And I was like, well, yeah,
Yeah. It's easier to go up
yes,
than it is to go down, especially if you're selling like a group offer that
yep,
is out there in the public. So if you start charging like $5,000 for a group program and maybe one or two people buy, or maybe nobody buys, and then you start selling that same offer for less because you think it's the price
feels
point, like
weird.
that is harder
Yep,
optically to do. So you're better off to like charge a good value and then like push it as you go
yep.
up.
Well, and here's the thing, like, especially if you're doing one-on-one work where Kim's doing a page for this
Hmm.
person and a page for this
Yeah.
person, where I was coaching this person, nobody knows that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be like, well, the
Hmm.
person before you, I charged this, and the next
Yes.
person, like, you don't need to give them a blow by blow of how you changed your prices. They just need to know what you're charging today.
Yeah.
And there is no, like, people will be like, well, is that fair? Like, well, every person needs something different. It's the same as when my kids are like, is that fair that she got it this way and I didn't? I'm like, well, yeah, are you the same?
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh,
Well, and also with each client we work, with each person we coach, with each
yep,
sales page I write, I get better and better and better. And so that should come with a commensurate increase in value and
yes.
price.
And at no point have you said that anyone stood up and was like, you are a terrible person.
Yeah.
Never. Has it ever happened?
No, it has never happened. And when
See?
people are like really balking at the price, I do keep in my back pocket a few strategies.
Yep.
One of the strategies is, would a longer payment plan be helpful to you?
Yep.
And so I can, say instead of three payments, we can spread it out over four or five.
Yep.
I also do, because I charge premium rates, I have the ability to offer scholarships
Yep.
for marginalized communities, people for whom have financial hardship, and I'm happy and able to extend that
Yep.
when it's the right fit for the right person.
Well, and I say to people all the time, like I have clients come to me and they're like, well, but I want these kinds of clients and I want to always be able to have a couple of people that I'm charging half or giving away for free. And I always say to them, like, I'm entirely down with that.
Yeah.
I do the same. And that can't come before the charging,
Yeah,
which is such like you charge the money to enable the giving.
exactly.
And rather than give and then figure out how to charge the money. Like we do want the charging enables the giving. It's like when you write a grant, you enable someone to give. You have to do, there's work that comes before that. And so it's an interesting pot kettle kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That actually isn't a pot and a kettle, it's like a pot and a cup.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're used to this in other contexts.
Yeah.
Like when we go to the grocery store, it's like, do you want to add on the rest of the change so that we can make a donation to this charity?
Yes.
A lot of other, even corporate businesses will
Yep.
say, like, if you do you want to buy a seat for somebody else? So you can make it very explicit when
Yep.
you're doing your pricing, or have it on your services page. Like, when you work with me, you allow me to donate a third of my proceeds back to the community. Like, you could be very explicit about it,
Yep.
or you can just do it on your own, and it doesn't, like, nobody has to know, or they can know if you want them to.
Yeah, and that can change.
Yes.
God forbid. I mean,
Yeah.
like that might be one way today, it might be private today and public tomorrow, and a year from now you might change it again. That I
Yes.
think is the other thing that happens is people say, "Well, I'm charging this right now and I did just change it." Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like
You're
there's
the,
no
you're the
score.
boss of your own business. That's like, you get to decide what you call it. You get
Yeah.
to decide if you change the name of it. You get to decide if you want to make it a 2 week offer or a 2 day offer.
Yep.
You get to decide what you're charging today. Like I think a lot of us feel like we have to have everything locked in cement and then move from there. But the truth is, business life is about a series of tests and experiments and learning from data. And you can't know unequivocally and then act. You have to act and then you'll know.
So it's like all of last year on this podcast, it was about trust. And
Ah,
I always think
yes.
about trust is the thing we do before data. Trust is pre-data.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing. Like we people will be like, "Well, what's the right price?" Well,
Mhm.
here's the thing. The thing that always cracks me up with people, they'll be like, "Well, but nobody near me is charging more than that." Well, that you know of.
Yeah. How do you know what people are charging?
How do you know? And I will tell you 100% guarantee that the range is bigger than you realize. Like, if you do you have any experiences where you've been like, where all of a sudden your thoughts about what existed in the world of what people would pay sort of changed? Where you were like, oh,
Well, I think it was really when I was getting into online business.
mm,
And I was kind of following like a big influencer who's very famous for her online business program, and I was really intrigued by it.
yeah,
And then once you kind of get into the funnels, then you get to see all the people who are delivering the affiliate marketing, and a
yep,
couple of them were quote unquote copywriters.
okay,
And when I did a deeper dive into their websites and I saw how much they were charging, I was like, heck, if I made half that, I'd be killing it.
yes,
And so seeing those people ahead of me gave me the trust that there are people willing to pay for this.
mm.
And here I was making like $25 an hour, doing that same level of writing, providing that same level of strategy. But now I could probably be making like triple or quadruple that if I just changed who I was writing for.
Well, and what's interesting about that is I think there are people that go out into the world and look at that same set of data and come back from it feeling inferior
Hmm.
rather than empowered,
Yes.
which is an interesting option, right? You go out and be like, oh my gosh, those people are charging so much more than I feel good about. I'm never going to be like them.
Right.
Or it's look what's possible. And I think they lead to very different places,
They
clearly.
absolutely do. Yes.
So when people come to you and they say, I want to charge more, but what are your thoughts on like what tends to be most in the way and what your general response is?
I mean, I had to really invest in a lot of support,
Mm,
mindset support. So I did work with mindset coaches. I joined communities where there were people who were maybe a little bit further ahead of me.
yeah.
And so they could really call out for me when I was playing too small or when I was believing a false narrative about myself or what I could charge. And so having other people to reflect back to you that, I think that you're playing small here, or what are you talking about? You have 12, 15 years of working in nonprofit. Like you can actually do this. Just because you didn't call it the same thing doesn't mean you can't do the
Yeah.
same thing. So I think having that person. So when I'm working with someone and I'm seeing themselves holding themselves back, I can kind of hold up that mirror and say, like, I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself. Like, look at all these amazing things you've done, and look at so and so. This is possible for so and so. There are also some other like actual mindset programs that you can take to help
Yeah.
rewire your mindset or whatever you do to practice that gets you into the vibe. And
Yep.
so sometimes it's just practicing those, like listening to
Yep.
that pump up song before you hop on a sales call so that you feel you know, um, like an expert and you can command those rates. So there's just a few little tricks.
Well, and we talk in the lab that I run, one of the core structures is grounding. Because for me, at least in the experience of business I have, and it sounds like you're not far from it, that is the thing that drives everything else. Like if you
Mhm.
start from that grounded place, which you don't, it's not like a location that we get to stay at. We wander up, like we wander away from that spot quite a bit. And we're constantly, it's like the little kid, you're constantly refocusing. Like, oh, hey, here, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. It's a toddler at best, a rambunctious one. And that constant coming back to like, wait a minute, I know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Be it through your journal or through meditation or music or friends or whoever, whatever you need to come back to, having something up there. Like I have one that a note that sits right up there on my wall that says it doesn't have to be perfect to be useful
Mhm.
because I need to be reminded on a fairly regular basis that it doesn't have to be perfect to be useful. I'm just, maybe that's a problem here.
Right.
So it's, that constant recentering before you go out into the world and are like, hey, world, I have this thing. And
Mhm.
when you're like, do I have anything? To come back and be like, wait, I do. I know how to
Yeah.
do this.
One of the things sorry to cut you off, keep
No, you're
going.
fine. It was a
One,
question. Go ahead.
yeah, one of the things I did in the early days was I learned this from Joanna Weeb of Copy Hackers, who is a marketing agency. But she created something called the cheat sheet of awesomeness.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
recommended that we do that. So it was, do I even still have it up? I don't. But for a long time on my bulletin board, I used to have a list of all of these wins that my clients had had. And
Hmm.
I had to look at that every single time before I hopped on a sales call
Hmm.
because I wanted to not only be able to refer back to, oh, this one time I was working with a client who, and then provide that result,
Yep.
but it also reminded me that I am actually good at what I do. Like I have value. I can create this transformation and I can say my prices confidently and then just sit in the silence and let that person respond. But this is an ongoing battle. Just the other day, Sarah, I was having an exchange with a lead, a
Yeah.
past client who was, we were negotiating terms of a new way to work together at a premium level.
Yeah.
And she wanted to hire me for a series of nurture emails. So, like a weekly email that we
Yeah.
would write and she would send. She also wanted me to turn that into a LinkedIn post. And I generally don't provide content services. It's just not my area of expertise. But LinkedIn, of all the social media, is like where I feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, I could do that. And I had to talk myself through not offering that as a free upgrade. I wanted to
Yeah.
be like, sure, I'll just do that for you, no problem. But I
Yes.
had to literally like walk through. It took me about 5 or 10 minutes to walk myself through why I shouldn't add that in, why I should charge like a certain amount to do the translate the emails into LinkedIn posts. Like, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, she didn't buy the upgrade, but I'm still delivering the emails for the same price
Yeah.
as opposed to like delivering more
Yes.
and
Yes.
getting paid less for it. So,
It's funny. Last week I was on a call with a colleague talking about a new offer I'm kind of pushing around very quietly and like mushing and thinking about. And I was like, oh, and then I can add this onto the end. And she was like, have you lost your mind?
mhm.
And I was like, oh, it's a good idea. And she was like, it is not. That is not. That is too much and too
Yeah.
nice and make it stop. And I was like, oh. She was like, you do that all the time. Cut it out. And I was like, dear God,
Yeah.
okay, hold on. Because I do the same thing where I was like, well, and I could just tack on these really three more nice things that would be so fun. And I totally get that. And it is a constant battle.
It is.
And you get better at noticing it,
Mhm.
right? You see it faster than you ever did before. What's funny is your awesome list. I actually early on and still sometimes have had the same, but I actually do it in real time where I just like write down all the names of my people in
Mm.
one thing we've accomplished just it's like, okay, what am I working on with everybody right now? Like, what are the important kinds of things we're doing with all these names I can name right here? And then it's like, oh, wait, we do important stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on. Right.
Yeah.
And I often do that before calls with new people, even still, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what actually is happening here? And
Yeah.
then
And
it's a really useful practice.
it's a useful practice for you, but it's
Hmm.
also an impact when you can, on a sales call or on an introduction call, be able to showcase those results.
Yes.
Because in what everyone's calling this trust recession uh, time right now, being able to point to some of your results and say, I helped so and so release this. I helped so and so achieve this health goal. I
Yeah.
helped so and so get so many sales from these series of emails or this sales page. They like to hear that you've had success. And
Yeah.
then it makes dropping that price point even easier because they know that you are coming to the table with a level of expertise.
Yes. Well, and it is that, it is that safety, right? That
Mhm.
is, no matter what you're charging. And honestly, that safety is at every price point. At the higher price points, we feel more like it's got to be safe for them, but I often feel like the price point is part of the safety at those higher price points.
It is, yeah.
And it's such an interesting counter. It feels a little counterintuitive, and it's like if you sit down and draw it on paper, it makes sense, right? Like, are there
Yeah.
things like that for you where like if I write this out, it'll make sense, but in my brain, it's like, can that be real? And a lot of the money things fit like that.
There's a funny meme that you've probably seen. It's like um, charging a 5K project to a client. Client says, "Great, I'll send me the invoice," and then it's you sending a $500 service to a $500 client, and it's like, "Can you tell me what the terms are? How much is goes into this? What are my
Yep.
deliverables exactly?" And it's a meme for a reason. Like
Yep.
there is a reason why premium clients and premium pricing gives you a different level of clientele, gives you a different
Yep.
level of command and confidence on both sides of the coin. So, yeah.
Well, and it's an interesting, I work with a lot of people that work with kids and families, and the distance from the people who make you crazy to the people who you'll be thrilled to have is not as far as you think,
Hmm.
especially in those models. But it is, people will be like, well, I can't charge 75 versus 65. Like you can actually, and it will change your life because it'll change your people entirely. And you'll be like, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I've seen it time and time and time again. And so it is, Kim is not saying to everyone, like, you have to charge triple what you're
Yeah.
charging now. That's not, premium means something different for everyone
Yes.
and is going to be kind of uncomfortable and changes all the things.
Yeah. You could look at premium in terms of the kind of service you provide,
Mhm.
the niche service you provide. Like if you're an expert in a certain area, that's going
Mhm.
to bring a level of expertise and condense the timeline possibly for your client to have a transformation. So that could be premium, and you just charge potentially more for that than the going rate. Like it doesn't have to be you're charging thousands and thousands of dollars. Absolutely
No,
not. Mhm.
and it's going to be different for everybody. And so, like, but it is, what are you afraid that people, the thing I've always had to write about in my journal, which I find interesting, especially with rate changes and newer offers, is like, what am I worried people are going to say and
Mhm.
do and feel? And how are none of those things actually going to happen?
Yes.
Right? Where you're like, oh, that's not real because, like, do you have the same gremlins, Miss Kim?
Oh, of course. But usually what it comes down to is the things that maybe my mom was saying to me when I was a kid.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, one of the things, like she was a teacher and
Hmm.
she saw what would happen to like students who were exceptional or students who were really at the bottom of the barrel. So she would say like, I just want you to be average. Just dull average is all I ever want you to be. And she was meaning it from a good
Yes.
place, but anytime I was above dull average, I was like, oh, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't be like this. And I think that that kind of comes into pricing, like, don't be bigger than your britches, like, you got to work hard for your, like, there's all these like little things that we
Yeah.
say that were programming that were very innocent when we were younger. And so it's like catching yourself. It's okay to
Yes.
be better than dull average. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
And you already are,
yeah,
right? Like
yes, yeah,
it's like everybody has something at which they are exceptional.
yeah,
And that is the reason you're in business. And to be like, oh, I am exceptional at this, to even say those words out loud, people are like,
yeah.
ah, right? Like I often work with clients, and one of the things we come to is that, and that something I write about all the time in my journal is I am a success right now. And
Mm,
getting people to be able to say out loud, like, I am a success right now, and not have them carry the sentence, except when,
mm,
or, but I haven't gotten yet. Or it's like, no, no, I can be successful today and want more.
yes.
But that doesn't negate success today. And that to me is fascinating. Like the amount at which we fight that, right? And how that impacts how we think about sales and future growth.
Mhm.
Mm.
What?
So go ahead.
I was just kind of thinking about how one of the things that I like to do regularly is look at the data on women in business.
Mm.
And I'm not going to get the percentages right now,
Yeah.
but it's like 50% of businesses close after the first year.
Yep.
Um, only 12% of women-owned businesses make it to six figures to $100,000. Only 2%, 1.9% make it to $1 million in revenue.
Yeah.
And when you put it in that perspective, like if you even just the act of starting your business, like leaving your corporate life, transitioning from your 9 to 5 and starting a business or starting a side hustle, that in itself is a success.
Yep.
Lasting beyond 1 year is a success.
Yep.
Lasting to 5 years is a tremendous success.
Yep.
Hitting six figures or beyond, or like, even if that's not your goal, like that is successful in and of itself. So I just
Yes. I
agreeing
love
with
those
you that I am a
numbers.
success today. Yeah.
Yes. And actually, those are the numbers that started me thinking about that,
Hmm.
because that particular one about six figures, that when in that data set, what I find really interesting is they're not talking about in a year, they're talking about total ever.
Hmm.
Like there is a number that it's like only 12 or whatever percent of businesses ever make $100,000 total.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're not talking about a calendar year, we're talking about all together, like
Yeah.
cumulative. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, wait.
Hmm.
Okay, hold on. Maybe it's not all so bad. Maybe there are some things working here, because it's like, oh, have you made it over time?
Yeah.
For sure. And so that to me is fascinating. Tell me, if you could have everyone make one shift right now, what would it be?
Hmm. Hmm. If everyone could make one shift, I think it would be to I'm really big into niche, picking a
Mm.
niche. And a niche can be the type of service you offer, or it could be
Mhm.
the type of person you work with, or both. But I really feel that when you have picked your niche, you can become an expert in there. You're not saying yes to all of these things that are outside of this niche. It allows you to focus your day to day on what you offer, who you want to work with. And it
Yeah.
helps to clear out all of this extra stuff that you might be like, oh, well, I should offer this, and oh, I should offer this, and oh, I should do that. So I feel like a niche is kind of like the foundation of everything. And from
Yep.
your niche, then you learn how to speak to your ideal audience. You
Yeah.
learn to speak the words that they say. I'm going to put in a second thing that I wish everyone would do. I wish everyone would speak to the ready to buy buyer.
Oh, God bless.
So I'm working with a client right now on a launch, and she's telling me about how people are so skeptical and they don't want to buy, and the economy is this and the economy is that. And I have to keep reminding her, those aren't the people we're talking to. We are
Hmm.
not going to try to convince the people who are negative and wound up in their story
Yep.
that this is the offer that they should do or why they should change their minds. We're going to talk to the people who are like, I know I kind of want this, and I'm just maybe a little bit hesitant. So moving from that super beginner or the person who really
Yes.
doesn't know if they need this yet to positioning yourself within your niche to the people who are kind of ready to buy, or red hot and ready to buy, like that is where you want to position your offer, your messaging, your sales, is focusing on the people who are already there.
I have a friend that describes those people as your 210-degree people. Like
Mm,
water boils at 212 Fahrenheit, right? So you're talking to your 210s, not your
yeah.
83s,
Yes.
right? And it's
Yeah.
like those 210s don't need a ton of extra heat to boil.
Yes.
And it is the difference. And like as a former math teacher, I think all the time about like my job as in a classroom was to bring everybody to
Right.
algebra.
Hmm.
My job in business is not
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Only the kids that are like, please, can I have algebra? Like I get to have them. Like the
Yes.
other kids are like, go do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So it is, but it's I that's a really good thought. I think a lot about my 210s,
Hmm.
right? Or my 209s or my 208s. The people over 200, but the people who are at 73, like we're not, let them do what they do. They got things, they got cooking to do.
Yeah. And like
So,
a lot of us feel as we grow in our businesses, as we evolve in our businesses, as we gain more expertise, we worry about the people at the bottom of that spectrum who are like,
yeah.
who are the original audience that we were talking to. It's the like people who like learn what EFT is,
Yes.
learn what copywriting is. Like we all kind of start there, and then as
Yeah.
we gain more experience and the market sophisticates, we want to position ourselves here, but we're worried about all these beginner people. But the thing I want everyone to remember is that when you are painting this picture for this more sophisticated audience, what the transformation and what the outcomes for this sophisticated audience will be, your beginners will still be inspired by that vision. They'll actually be pulled more along into that new
Yes.
vision than if you're like, oh, this is what you're struggling with. These are the pains and problems.
Yes.
This is the like economy is blah, blah, blah. But like if you're painting that picture of possibility for those people, as you
Yes.
call it, in the 200s, the people who are at 87 will naturally be finding themselves warmed into that
Well, and
community.
that I think that to the point about niche too is similar. Like just because you picked a place to stand
Yes. Hmm.
doesn't mean no one else will hear you.
Hmm.
It's not like you're dead to everyone else. And I think that that is what scares people. They're like, well, but if I open this door and stands firmly in this room, I've closed all the other ones. No, you've picked a space to speak from. Like that doesn't mean people don't come to me and be like, can you do this thing in this
Yes.
other area? Like, of course I can.
Yeah.
But that like that's the like just because you picked a spot doesn't mean that like
Yeah.
you put up a curtain around you and you're dead to everyone else. Um, my friend, this is lovely, and I am so excited to get to talk to you again
Yes.
on May 20th. Between now and then, I will have the page to sign up for that talk. Either, so there's two ways to get to that. Either you're in the Uncomplicating Business Lab already, and it is a part of what you get, or there will be a page at the start of May that you can sign up to come join Kim and I. And I will make sure both those things exist when this podcast is out. Tell people how to find you, and all of the places to come follow you around. And I, before you do that, I will remind people, as I remind them every single time, Kim is an actual human being. If you were to go to the LinkedIn and send her a connection request and be like, hey, I'd love to talk to you one-on-one, she would not be like, oh my God, who do you think you are? She would be like, oh, hi, human. I too am a human. So you could actually do that and no
You
one would
actually
die.
could. Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
tell them how to get you.
Yeah. So I also have a podcast. It's called the Ill Communication Podcast. You'll find it on all the channels, so you
It's
can listen to
really
that.
good. It's in the stuff I weekly am around.
Yeah, thank you. So you can absolutely subscribe and get like little tips and tricks to help elevate your messaging, copy, and sales in your business. So that's one of the ways. I also have, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me at kimkiel.com. And I actually have a scorecard. I'm not sure, did we talk about like a opt-in or anything to share?
We will do that in the lab. The opt-in will go in the
Yeah,
lab.
great. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So come to the session on the 20th, and there's
Yep.
lots of other great resources that we can share with you.
Tons. And we're definitely going to talk about how to set the right price point and strategies for when people balk. And
Yeah.
I have a list of other I'm like over here on this piece of paper that I shouldn't be taking these notes on, taking extra notes. I should know better by now. The post-it notes are here somewhere. Kim, it's so lovely to see you and talk with you. Thank you so much for this today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Thank you.